So I was talking to my sister the other day, and she told me it would make her day if I told my followers how our father ran her over when she was a baby and saved her life. So way back in the day when my parents were still together and we had a lot of money, we used to go to those, I don't know what you call them, like rich people parties. This party was at a mansion. And you will need this information for context. I'm just not hyping myself up. Because baby, we went broke. Anywho, so we went to this party at my mom's friend's house, whatever it was. So it was this massive house, and most houses here in New England that are that massive, the front lawns are also massive. You're gonna need this for context. So we go to this party, blah, 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 blah. There is myself, my older brother. I was about 4. My older brother is 2 years older than me, so he was 6, and my sister was just born, and she was about 9. Actually, she was 9 months old. Maybe I was a little older. Maybe I was almost 5 years old. Anyway, so we go to the party, whatever. I remember going there. We went and swam in the pool, whatnot, and then it was getting time for us to leave. Now, my dad decided, oh, sweetie, why don't you stay? He was talking to my mom, had her stay, and then he took myself, my brother, and my sister, who was still in a baby carrier at the time, and he left the party with us. And I remember walking across the lawn, and our truck was parked on the road, and we were heading towards the truck. So then once we get to the truck, my brother and I, we end up hopping into the back seat of the truck, and we jump into our little, whatever you call them, car seats. And we're just sitting there waiting for our dad to strap us in. At this time, he is behind the truck. He's actually in the bed of the truck. He puts my sister down on the ground in the carrier because he was also carrying a cooler at the time that he was going to toss in the bed of the truck. In which he did. I remember he had put it in the back of the truck. I remember hearing it slide, and he closed the truck bed closed. And then me and my brother, we were just still waiting. We were like, come on, Dad. Like, strap us in, strap us in. So he goes over and he straps both us in. Well, I think he forgot that he had just had a new child. I mean, the child was 9 months old. That's my sister. And instead of going back to retrieve my sister, he just gets into the driver's seat. And I think we all know where this is kind of going. So my dad just goes and puts the car in reverse. Well, truck. It was a little pickup truck. And I remember the feeling of the truck rolling back. And I felt it like bump into something, like hit something. And then all of a sudden I can remember it. My father screaming, Amelia! I'm not going to scream as loud as he did just because I'm just chilling in bed. Anyway, that's when he realized he done fucked up. So then he puts the car back forward and then hops out of the truck. And me, we're strapped in. We can't get out. I have no idea what's happening, but I do vividly remember like all the sounds that were happening. And I don't remember how, but my brother and I managed to unbuckle ourselves from our car seats because I remember seeing my mom. I've never seen this woman run so fast in her life, even to this day. I remember the dress she was wearing, this red dress. That woman was hauling ass across this big ass fucking yard, excuse my language. And she was also screaming at the top of her lungs, screaming, my baby, my baby. So the ambulance gets there and everything, and my sister looks fine. Like, no one saw, like it didn't look like she had gotten hurt. So she gets loaded up into the ambulance and they send her off to the hospital. I don't remember which parent went with her, but we ended up immediately going to the hospital directly after that. And now you're probably wondering, okay, your dad ran your sister over. How did he save her life? And this is where the turn of events happens. So because she was hit and she had no visible injuries, I mean, she was still in the baby carrier and kind of went over her-ish. I don't really know. So when she went to the emergency room, they did full head-to-toe scans on her. And that's when they saw something that they kind of were not expecting. And I remember we were on the children's unit and I was so young, I can just barely remember everything. But you know when that doctor comes in and they're like, hey, we need to talk to you, she's fine, but. And this is where that but came into play. They were pretty much saying, well, we ended up actually finding no injuries from the little incident, but we did end up finding something else, and it was a tumor at the base of my sister's spine. Now, they thought the worst, and they were preparing my family for the worst because they were like, it kind of looks like it could be cancer, but we're gonna have to do further testing. Now, my sister ended up staying in the hospital for quite some time, and then we ended up finding out my sister actually ended up getting diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma. And for those who don't know what that is neuroblastoma is one of the deadliest childhood cancers out there. And my sister had 0 symptoms whatsoever. So, if my dad never ran her over, they would have never done that full head-to-toe scan, and she probably wouldn't be living to this day. She ended up going through all the treatments. She did her chemo, radiation. They took the tumor out wherever it was. I was too young to actually know what they did. And she ended up pulling through, but she still has like reconstructive surgeries because it altered like the growth in her legs because where it was on her spine. And I don't know, it kind of just like blows my mind that something like that, like freak accident, actually ended up changing the course of my sister's lives and pretty much all of our lives, because she probably wouldn't be here, and that was 20 years ago. She's gonna be turning 21. But yeah, I figured I'd tell you guys that because my sister made me tell that same exact story for one of her school projects, and then she just told me the other day, she's like, Amber, can you tell people about that story, because I just think it's so cool.